Hey everybody, how's it going? It's all music with Todd Ledbetter, and I am super excited. And I mean, my excitement just is bubbling over. It continues. This is our third attempt at this, and so even though we've had little technical difficulties, the excitement level is still high, and I'm super pleased to introduce to you Jeff Castanon once again on All Music with Todd Ledbetter. Jeff, how are you doing? Nice to
Hey,
hear
I'm
you.
doing great. Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for having me on again. This is our third one. I always look forward to these. We are always talking about my favorite albums, my favorite bands, my favorite music. I'm exceptionally excited about today, and I know you haven't announced this yet.
No, I haven't. No,
Could I do the honors?
hey, let everybody know what we're going to do today. We got a really special album that we're both very excited about. It was one that when we talked about doing, I thought, okay, I'd like to do this album, but you know what? I'm going to let Jeff pick the album because I let him pick the last two that we did
Yeah.
because just I just want him to participate and be involved, and this is my sort of feeling about it. And then so we're messaging, and then in like 5 minutes he comes up with tell him what we came up with, which is the same
Jeff
album.
Buck, yeah, Jeff Buckley's Grace,
Yeah,
which it's funny because I think we did this on the second album too when we did the Duran Duran Rio. I said, "What
yeah,
about this?" And you're like, "I was just going to suggest that to you."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so excited. I was so happy to hear that this was what you had rolling around in your head also,
Oh yeah,
uh, because this album is such an incredible recording, and yeah, it's going to be fun to get into each song and talk about each song and just the story of Jeff Buckley and his life and his early demise. I mean, all of that stuff is it's rich in stories. All of this stuff is, so it's going to be fun to go over this with you.
yeah. And Jeff Buckley comes from a musical family. His dad, Tim Buckley, was a fabulous musician and singer, and then you mentioned his early death, and which is tragic. And you know a little bit more about the details on that than I do.
Yeah, so May 29th, 1997, he had flown into Memphis to work on the second release. Grace was the only album that, at this point, this was his first album. And so they started working on this album, and the band was going to fly in and meet him in Memphis to continue to record. And he decided to jump into the Wolf River Harbor with his clothes on and go for a swim.
Does it say where? Does it say where the Wolf River is? What state?
Yeah, it's in Memphis.
Okay, Memphis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in Memphis. And apparently, well, they call this harbor, it's a slack water channel of the Mississippi River. And he jumped in, I guess. He jumps in, he goes for a swim, and a tugboat pulls him under, and he drowns. And they didn't find his body until June 4th. So this happened on May 29th, 97.
Wow.
And they didn't find his body until June 4th. And I mean, can you imagine? Uh, I mean, I think about. I mean, obviously, I think about him and what he went through and what happened with him. But I think about the guys, his friends, and the guys in the band. The guys in the band that show up to record. Just another recording date, and they show up, and they find out that he's gone. They disappeared. He jumps in the river and disappears,
Mm.
and then days later, they find out he's dead. I mean, horrible death. I think his dad. I don't know if you know this. If you know about this, I think his dad died young as well.
Yeah, I think I did know that.
Um, yeah,
Bizarre.
so he was 30 years old. He was born in 1966, died in 97. He was 30 years old when he died, just out of his 20s, man.
Yeah, he'd be 2 years younger than me right now. If he was still living, he'd be 2 years younger than me.
Oh, I thought you meant what it's. I thought you were saying you're 32 years old.
No, no.
Yeah, you're right. 66. Yeah,
I was
I
born in
mean,
'64, so he'd be 54 years old today.
wow. I mean, imagine what we'd have musically from him
Yeah,
by this point.
yeah.
Um, yeah. crazy. But they did an autopsy. They wanted to make sure there wasn't any, you know, issues with drugs or anything like that. They were even making sure, you know, they wanted to know his state of mind. Make sure that this wasn't a suicide or anything like this. But no, none of that. He was happy. He wasn't abusing any substances. I mean, it was just a freaking accident.
Yeah. And I guess was it like the wakes pulled him under, or did he get hit by the boat and then dragged under
Yeah,
some? I don't know.
yeah. I don't know if anyone knows for sure, but they
Yeah.
they definitely were able to track that a tugboat had gone by, and he was
Hmm.
out there swimming with his clothes on, which is kind of, that's a little bizarre to me, to begin with, that he would go fully clothed because he'd drag you down with your clothes on. But
Yeah, when I
um,
was in water polo in high school, we would jump in fully clothed, and then we'd have to take our pants off,
right,
and
time up,
tie it up, and then blow air into it as a floating device.
right,
And so those are things that if you don't know about, to do, like if and also how muddy was the river? Did he just get lost in his orientation on what way it was up? You just don't know. And then, ugh, what is
good,
I don't
good
even
point.
I don't want to talk about his final thoughts in his own mind, but it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Like, what have I done? I mean, the guy. I mean, I can understand this. He was probably a good swimmer. I mean, if you're a good swimmer, you think, God, I'm comfortable in the water.
Yeah.
But like you said, was the water muddy? What was the current like?
Yeah.
And it took him. I'm sure it took him by surprise.
Yeah.
I read something that said that he was singing the chorus of "Whole Lot of Love" when he was going into the water. So I
Uh,
guess somebody had witnessed this, which is really interesting. We'll get into this later about his love of Led Zeppelin.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So that's really bad. It's just a little personal confession here. He's one of two people that I have cried about when I
Yeah.
heard he died.
Oh,
Um,
tragic.
yeah, because I was like, a buddy of mine had just seen him play live in LA, and he was telling me about it, and I couldn't go because I had tickets to go see Laurie Anderson. So that night I saw Laurie Anderson, and my buddy saw Jeff Buckley, and I'm like, yeah, I can't go see the Buckley show. And I remember that uh, hearing about him dying. I had just missed seeing him, and then hearing that he had died. I was so fully into Jeff Buckley at that time.
Hmm.
I was a huge fan at the time that he had died, and
Yeah.
yeah, it really affected me.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, so
What a
shoot,
what a downer to start off with this whole
yeah,
thing, but what an amazing album though. I mean, oh my
oh
gosh, the music that he produced on a debut album has got to be like one of the greatest debut albums, not only debut albums, but only album that an artist would put out, fully completed, not talking about the second release, which was posthumous, I guess you call it, and not quite finished at all.
right, right.
Um, and yeah, so maybe we should transition into some happy thoughts and some
Yeah, let's
happy
get into
music.
his masterpiece here.
Right,
Since we morbidly
right.
depressed everybody.
And it's a sad thing, you lose a life so young, and then also just a talented person, and you just can't help but think, what if, you just
Yeah,
can't.
but to be honest with you, it does set the tone,
Yeah,
though, Todd. For the album,
true,
it does. It
true.
sets the tone for the album, not in a morbid way, but in a way where it demonstrates this guy was an artist. He was a free thinker. He was a poet, a vagabond. I mean, this guy, he lived the life of an artist. He did whatever he wanted in an uncompromising way, and just as he would jump into the Wolf River Harbor with his clothes on to swim in the middle of the day, that's how he approached music
Yeah,
as well. So it is connected. The interesting thing about Grace that I hadn't really thought about when I was listening to it, and it kind of hit me later, are the number of covers
Yeah.
that are in this, because he didn't write all the songs, and we'll go through this, but
Yeah.
some of these are very, very old songs that he covered. And of course, the Leonard Cohen song, which is not that long ago, but some of these other songs are incredibly old that he covered. But let's get into this, man.
Yeah, well, he was a touring musician, and from what I understand, he just had like like truckloads of songs that he could play, that were old covers, and he could just pull out and do, acoustic versions, and he did a lot of acoustic shows, I think, just
Totally.
and he was just had so many songs in his arsenal that he could pull out and just play depending on what he was feeling or how the audience was. So just very unique talent. And so what we're going to do is we're not going to actually play the music here on YouTube because of copyrights and things like that. But Jeff and I are going to listen to a little bit of it. We're going to pause the video, listen to a little bit of the song, and then we're going to come back into each song and sort of review it. But if you want to listen as we go, I'm going to put the Spotify link, or if you have another way of listening to music, Apple or whatever, you can just go ahead and upload, get the music ready, and you can listen along with us and check it out as we go. So we're not going to hear any music today because of just the rules and regulations of YouTube, but please just follow along with us and check out the music on your own as we go.
Totally.
So let's start with the very first song. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to just take a look at Mr. Jeff Buckley. His album cover's got a good picture. Can you see that okay, Jeff?
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, so there you go. There's Jeff Buckley's Grace album, released in 1994. It's 11 songs, 57 minutes, and the very first song is called Mojo Pen. All right, yeah, so we listened to that first song, Jeff and I, a little Mojo Pen, and hope you check that out too as we're going along here. What are your thoughts on that first opening song?
Yeah, he seduces you at the beginning. It starts off so quiet, and he's doing this picking, and then he's got that high ooh thing that he's doing, and it just lures you. Yeah. Right off the top, you're like, what the heck? It just sucks you in like a siren,
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, and when he's got you, he pulls you in with that first part, and he's got that real delicate verse, that he's singing, and then it starts to build a little bit more. It's got this midsection here, and then it goes into a really heavy, more of a bombastic, stronger thing. Now that he's got you in his clutches, kind of a thing. Mesmerizing. That's the word comes to mind, is mesmerizing.
It doesn't take long though. I mean, he grabs you right away, and he just
Totally.
and the transition is only like less than 2 minutes in, and boom, he's just grabbed you and taken you with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Let me read you a quote. This was from some spoken thing. I guess it was in a conversation or an interview, and it's a little hard to understand because it's just it was a conversation that he was having with this interviewer. But about Mojo Pen, he says, sometimes if somebody you feel you need, the whole universe tells you that you have to have her. You start watching her favorite TV shows all night. You start buying her things she needs. You start drinking her drinks. You start smoking her bad cigarettes. You start picking up her nuances in her voice. So this is called Mojo Pen.
Wow.
So this is where it's coming from for him. This is what he was thinking about when he wrote this. Yeah, that was a cool quote.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Sometimes it blows my mind to hear, how people approach songwriting and what their muses are and how they think about things. Because a lot of times when I write, it's either real personal, and that's why I don't really like performing my songs, because it's like kind of personal, and then sometimes I've tried to experiment with different styles, but it's interesting to me how people can just come up with things, and like things I would have never thought of, you know.
Yeah.
I've
He,
never even considered that idea. I've never
yeah,
even considered it in my life.
right, right. He's able to write a song about it. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, like some of these songs, I mean, the lyrics, I got to tell you, brother, his lyrics, just as a lyricist, forget about his ability to sing the way that he does, or play guitar the way he does, or construct a song the way he does. His lyrics, you could sit down and just read his lyrics. It's poetry.
Yeah.
And I know he kept a notebook with him. I think they even published it. I might even have a copy of it. I don't remember, because I would get stuff that would come out after his death. But he'd keep a notebook with him. He was constantly filling that notebook up. So when he would write, he would he would reference that book. So in essence, he's songwriting 24/7.
Yeah.
He doesn't sit down like me or you and go,
Mhm.
I'm going to write a song. It's like life is songwriting. It's
Yeah.
songwriting for him.
Every experience he has, he's
Yeah.
just, it's like a journal almost, you know. And then people that have that practice of daily journaling, you know.
Yeah.
And my son's pretty good at it. He's got books and books and books of journals.
That's great.
And you know, and I never have been good at that. But yeah, some people just are. It just becomes a daily habit, and that's where they pull, you know, from their music and things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Rush, you know, and the way that Neil Peart would write, and then he would just hand something to Getty, and then he would make a song out of it, you know. Maybe not word for word, but it's a unique and very disciplined way of writing, you know, very disciplined.
Oh man, I know it is amazing. Just speaking about Rush real quickly, how they were able to have that working relationship, because it seems seamless when you
Yeah.
listen to the music. You can't tell that one person wrote the lyrics and then the other guy wrote the music, and the marriage of it is so cohesive
Yeah.
that you would never. Because when I found out that Neil wrote the lyrics, I was shocked. I had no idea.
Yeah. And just to be able to communicate someone else's ideas and thoughts, you know, in a way that really grabs you and seems authentic is
Oh,
pretty talented. Of course, you know, and like we talked about earlier, Jeff would do that with cover tunes. You know, he didn't write the
yeah.
lyrics, but he would still put across in his own style
Hmm.
these songs. And I do mean his own style, because, like,
Yeah.
you know, the Leonard Cohen song is not. It's not even the same lyric. You know, frankly.
It's an interpretation,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The chorus is the same, but the verses are not the same lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Mojo Pin, very cool opener.
Great opener.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the next song. It's oh, this is the title track,
Title
Great
track.
Grace. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's grab a we'll pause the video and we'll take a listen and we'll get right back. So if you're following along, we're listening to Grace right now. All right. Okay.
Wow.
Oh
Oh,
man.
you can understand why this is the title track.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Holy smokes, man. That lick at the beginning, as a guitar player, when I heard it, I was like, what is he doing? How is he playing that? What the
Yeah.
heck is that?
Yeah.
It's unorthodox. His guitar playing is really unorthodox, the
Yeah.
way he approaches it, the guitar. But what I love about this, Todd, is he starts off with that lick. You know, it's a pretty straight ahead. He starts off with this lick. It's got a lot of notes in it, and then he kicks into the main groove, and it's in like 6/8. Swingy.
Yeah.
And the next section, he goes. It's 4 again. It's straight. You know, it's he's bringing in all these feels in the context of one song, and it's so cohesive, and it
You don't
works.
feel, yeah, you don't feel
You
like
don't
it's
feel.
turkey or anything. No.
You don't feel it. In his voice, this is where he really, to me, he really starts to open up. This is where you get to hear the quintessential Jeff Buckley vocal sound,
Yeah.
because he starts the verse low, and he's kind of like lulling you in. He's getting you back in here. Then he starts to raise the pitch, starts raising the pitch, and then he soars.
Yeah. And
You know,
musically as well. The whole music is getting more intense and more intense.
yeah,
And the beginning in the beginning in the background, and you almost don't even recognize it because there's so many other interesting things going on, but there's this like almost like siren, like guitar feedback, almost like woo,
right,
in the very background, and it's almost like hypnotic.
totally,
Oh, and then it kind of bails out a little bit in a couple of the transitions, and then
yeah.
towards the end, when that song is just killing, that it's going,
Oh,
it's swirling back there. It's
yeah,
literally like almost like a phaser, and it's just like
yeah,
swirling. It's like oh my, like a
totally.
hurricane, but in the background, it's amazing.
Absolutely, man. And
Oh,
everyone is just on firing on all pistons. All the other guys in the band, they're opened up. All of them are opened up. And
yeah,
it's just like, and then you get to the end. And when we're listening to it right now, I asked you to jump to the end.
yeah,
And I wish I could sing it. Maybe you can. That ending lick, after all of that journey that you went on, he ends it with this beautiful little vocal lick at the end.
yeah.
Uh, oh,
Oh, I can totally do it.
let's hear it, Tom. Oh man, oh beautiful, beautiful song, man.
Yeah, so that song Grace. Just to remind you
Great.
guys, what we're listening to is Grace, and what a concept in its own right. I remember being in a Bible study at a church that I worked at with a bunch of with all the leaders, but also a few others that we were at meeting at the church, and one of the questions was, what is your take? What would you say? I can't remember the exact question, but it was something like, what would you take away as the most important Christian value or something like that? And everybody was going around saying different things, and I just said grace.
I love the word, man.
Yeah, just I mean,
I
just
love the word.
the whole concept of grace in a Christian
Oh,
context, and just I don't want to get all Christiany on my listeners because you might have other faiths, and that's totally fine, and I don't, and that's all good, but just the thought of God and His grace, bringing His son to this earth, and the grace that He imparts on us and the forgiveness of sins. I mean, that was one of my favorite words ever, and that's got to be one of my favorite songs ever.
me too, brother.
Yeah.
The same thing for me. I've always loved that word. And also in another meaning of it, when you say somebody has grace
Hmm.
and the way that they conduct themselves,
Yeah. Hmm.
that's very appealing to me too. The
Yeah.
elegance, you know, um, what a beautiful track.
So good. And you know what? This next song is a Last Goodbye is another favorite of mine on this album, frankly. This is an amazing tune, The Last Goodbye. And I what a strange title considering what we talked about in the opening. This album is basically his last goodbye.
Yeah, yeah.
If you think about it like that. But let's take a listen to that. So if you're following along with us, we're going to listen to Jeff Buckley's Grace album. We're going to listen to The Last Goodbye. Okay, I thought I was going to come back on and see you in tears.
I am.
Okay.
I have I have a tear in my eye, man. No
Okay.
lie.
Last Goodbye.
Oh,
Incredible song. We listened to the whole thing. I mean, uh, how can you just can't. Musically that song is brilliant, but lyrically that song is absolutely uh, heart wrenching in a way,
oh,
but also so inspiring that he's talking about the loss of his love. I mean, the opening lyric is, "This is our last goodbye. I hate to feel the love between us die, but it's over. Just hear this, and then I'll go. You gave me more to live for, more than you'll ever know." I mean,
that's the whole song. I
yeah,
mean, that he gives it to you.
yeah,
It's like, this is what the song's about,
yeah,
and then he goes into more detail, dude. The I have some in my document parts of this lyric that are bolded.
Yeah.
Bring them up to you as I'm listening to it. Every every lyric
Every
is worth
line.
bolding. Every line is
Yeah.
worth talking about.
Right.
But the next section after that first part that you just read, um, this is our last embrace. Must I dream and always see your face?
Oh God.
Uh, why can't we overcome this wall? Uh, Baby, maybe it's just because you didn't know you at all. But the one that kills me, it's at the end, the last verse. Well, the bells out in the church tower chime, burning clues into this heart of mine, thinking so soft thinking so hard on her soft eyes, and the memories offer signs that it's over. Oh, man.
That's a beautifully written lyric. I mean, how do you even come up with that concept? I mean, I'm so many people, we have all gone through loves and losses and things like that, but I mean, it's like I'm saying goodbye, but I'm also acknowledging how much you've meant to me and how much you've changed
Totally.
my life and how much I appreciate you. And the one line that I didn't realize he's the way he said it was maybe you didn't know you
No,
at all.
you at all.
Yeah, no, I thought it was maybe I didn't
I
know
didn't know
you at
you.
all, but maybe
You
you
didn't
didn't
know
know
you.
you at all. It's like, oh my God.
Beautiful.
That is like that switched it up there a little bit for me. I was like, dang.
It's
Oh,
pure poetry. Every line in this, and I'm trying not to be a total fanboy.
too late.
But I'll tell you, man, I've listened to a lot of music in my 57 years on this planet.
Whoa, what?
and and man, I'll tell you, there isn't a lot that moves me
Yeah, that's
the
a
way this does.
yeah. So if you didn't listen to the song yet and you're following along, just pause. I don't care. Pause the video and listen to the song because it's brilliant, a brilliant song. So do yourself a favor.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, as I was mentioning to you as we were listening to it offline here, that the Zeppelin strings,
Oh yeah.
because he was a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and you hear the cashmere strings, you hear those those strings that Zeppelin would put in their songs
hmm
and gave you that weird, really cool vibe to it, and
It wasn't quite as Middle Easterny as
Middle Eastern, right?
Kashmir, but it still had that same tonality and almost like it wasn't quite as Middle Easterny, but it still gave you that soaring sort of uplifting, almost like
Exactly.
just swirling sort of vibe. Yeah, that was
Absolutely,
really cool.
absolutely, man. That's a
Yeah.
good. That's a great way to put it. It
Well,
didn't. It didn't take you as far as Zeppelin does with that type of thing.
but it
It
was
gave you
totally
something.
appropriate for the song, you
It
know,
totally.
without imitating Zeppelin, you know,
Exactly.
at all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Holy smokes, man.
so
Yeah.
good.
I'll tell you. Sometimes when I listen to music, I think to myself, if I was ever to write just one song. I mean, if I could pick any song to write, I
Mm.
mean, it's like this is up on my, on my top five easily, of songs that I wish I had written. I wish I had written.
Yeah, but out of all of the relationships that you've had in your life, who would you have written it about?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean that's a great point that you make because usually, how many songs are about spite?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many songs? But he transcends that. I mean,
totally.
it's an appreciation.
Perhaps that's just another indication of grace, the title of
Yeah,
the album. You know that he felt. You know
beautiful.
he lived his life with that with his debut album. It's called
Uh,
Grace. You know, and
uh,
what better example of grace?
Beautiful, beautifully said, Todd. You're
Breaking
right,
up in a
right on the money.
relationship, but just saying, you know what, you meant so much to me, and I'll never be the same because of your influence on my life. Crazy, crazy when you
With that, we can go to the next song. Beautifully said, Todd.
I'm not ready.
Beautifully said, brother.
I'm not ready.
That's all. I know. And he hits. I think Lilac Wine is next, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you gotta. I mean, you have to go. I mean, because after that song, where are you gonna go? You gotta go somewhere completely different after that. And Lilac Wine is that song.
Yeah.
It is bizarre in comparison to that song and the rest of the songs on this album. And at first, I'll be honest with you, I used to skip this song.
Oh, really?
I didn't care for it.
Oh.
I used to skip it because I wanted to get to Hallelujah, which comes up, and So Real, and Lover, You Should Have Come Over. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this. But over time, I grew to appreciate this more. And then I found out that this song is a cover. It's let's see. It's written by James Shelton in 1950, and it was introduced by Hope Foy in a musical review called "Dance Me a Song."
Wow.
Where did he come across this?
Well, I bet you, it could have been from, his father's past and some of his archives and things like that, too, which is interesting because, I think for a lot of people, this album might be a hard first listen in some ways. It was, it's definitely one that really, the more you listen to it, the more you grow. Because I was watching a review channel and, the guy was, it's like one of those first listen review channels, and he was listening to Corpus Christi Carol.
Yeah.
And he was reviewing that, and I was looking at the comments, and you could just see the fans of this guy's channel light up with, "Oh my God, you're doing Jeff Buckley. This is amazing." And then you get a few of the comments like, "I don't get it. I didn't like this at all." And I commented, and I said, "It's okay. Don't worry. You're just inexperienced. Keep listening."
You will.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you will.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the album, because when it came out, it was panned. People didn't care. And then eventually grew to sell 2 million, records at some point, it sold 2 million.
And also won awards. It won awards.
And it won awards. And Hallelujah, his version of Hallelujah has been in countless television shows.
And it's also recognized as one of the best albums ever in history. Yeah. Not just the 90s, not just 1994, but it's up there ranked in all kinds of lists as one of the best albums ever.
Yeah. And before we shake loose of Last Goodbye, we're talking about the Zeppelin thing. Both Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were both fans of him, and Page said this is the best album in the last decade.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people he looked up to, he adored, and then these guys are saying your album is the best thing I've ever heard.
I literally have still goosebumps and tears in my eyes from that last song, and just talking about, and just the emotional response that my body just almost like it just heaves emotion through that song, and I'm still literally goosebumps, and like I'm wiping my eyes still,
Yeah. It's
so good.
It's that good. I mean, there's no exaggeration here.
Because you can relate to, like, that Last Goodbye, you can relate to that. And like I said earlier, who would you write that song about? But almost any past relationship, unless it was, just devastating or whatever. But you can find the good, in a person with a good heart and that believes in grace. You can find the good out of anybody.
If you choose to.
If you choose to.
And that's what's so brilliant about this, because I bet you could about all of your past relationships, no matter how rocky they were. You could do that if you choose to do that.
Right. Well, I actually choose to do that. When I think back, I never had any really long-lasting relationships that were of any significance, but except for my wife, and we've only been together for 33 years. So we'll see what happens. But still, you have high school romances and things like that, and you feel very emotional about certain people, and I just look back fondly of all those experiences, and
deep connection,
even my mistakes and my stupidity and my ignorance,
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said for any close relationship that you have, whether it's a girlfriend or a buddy. or a family member. Um, that is what resonates with us as human beings. And the deeper the connection, you know, the more alive we feel. Not to get too metaphysical or philosophical about it, but these are the things we live for.
Yeah.
Relationships. We're relational beings. We want that. That's why living the way that we are during this time is so difficult for
You're
people.
right. That's true.
Because it's hard for people to not connect, to not be in the presence of other people. And we're seeing that effect now because we can't seem to mitigate this pandemic here. We
Yeah.
can't. People are having such a difficult time. You
Especially
know,
if you're a person that has seeked others, and you're welcoming of others, and you accept others as part of your life, and all of a sudden, I went in to do some grocery shopping where I work, and there was a guy that's been out for a long time, and I saw him, and it's like, hey, what's going on, and then it's like air hug.
I
It's like
know.
so unsatisfying, it's
Totally,
I mean, I would have loved to embrace the guy, you know
totally.
but just it's like he's got his mask on, I got my mask on, we're
I
disinfecting
know.
everything, and just go ahead and do your shopping, but let's just air hug. It's like, okay, well,
It's sad.
maybe another day. But
We'll get
beautiful,
we'll
beautiful
get we'll
songs.
get there. Eventually we'll get there. We'll figure it out, man. It may
Yeah.
take us a while, but we'll get
Okay.
there. Okay. Anyway,
what are,
so
what are we gonna do now?
I know.
Are we
I,
done?
I think we're done. Where do you go from there? Well,
We only did 3 songs.
I know. It's funny, Todd, because every time we do this, I think to myself, it's only going to be like 45 minutes. Oh, a half hour to 45 minutes. It's
Yeah.
impossible for us to do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I
we're,
mean,
we're geeks, about it.
oh,
It's just like, oh, dang,
it's so hard.
too good.
But let's move on to the next one because we also have another huge one coming up,
Uh-huh.
which is my favorite song. Like this is, I mean, it's hard for me to pick my favorite song of all time, but this is up there for me. That's coming up, and we'll get there. But we got some other awesome songs to talk about before we get there. So let's
Okay.
let's um let's chat a little bit about Lilac Wine.
Okay, so if you're following along, still Jeff Buckley's Grace album, we're going to listen to Lilac Wine. So go ahead and check that one out too. So when we come back in, you'll be able to follow along with our comments, and you'll be able to comment as well down in the description. So we'd like to know and hear from you and see what you feel about these songs as well. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay. All right. Lilac Wine.
Yeah,
Another beautiful
what's
lyrics again.
oh, what's so cool about this is this song really it floats.
It
It's
does.
up here like the whole way, and
Oof,
after the heavy, that emotional journey that you go through on the previous song,
right.
you're light. This allows you to have this lightness of being when you're listening to this. Everything is really up there. It's beautiful. His voice, it's really showcased in this song. The nuances in his voice. You
His
hear the little
falsetto, yeah,
his
is
false his
amazing.
false is incredible. And like he'll do these little lip ups, like he'll hold a note out and then he'll go up at the end. All
Mhm.
these little vocal things that, unless you're an awesome seasoned vocalist, that to know to do that, you
Oh,
just
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
you're welcome. As you're in the same group. Yeah, man, you get to really focus on his voice because there's not a lot else. There's no distraction.
Yeah.
It's really about his voice on this.
I really like the line. Let's see, where is it? Well, first of all, when he gets into the chorus, the lilac wine is sweet and heady like my love.
Yeah,
There's 4 lines there, but it literally takes him like a minute and a half to get through those 4 lines.
yeah,
And, I mean, it's crazy. And then he's like, and then where is the line? Um, and then he repeats the same chorus but a little different lyrics. But he says, uh, he starts, it's weird how he relates the wine and being a little bit tipsy with
Yeah.
the unsteadiness of his love. And Lilac Wine, I feel unsteady. Where's my love? And then he says, listen to me. Why is everything so hazy? You know,
Yep.
oh man, isn't that she, or am I just going crazy?
Yeah.
Uh, it's just incredible the way he's sort of morphed, having wine and getting a little bit heady,
Real
from
drunk. Yep.
little drunk, but also
Yeah.
relating it to his love, and how she makes him feel.
It's
What?
intoxicating. I mean,
Oh,
and that's, you feel that about somebody that you're really in love with or you're really into. It feels like an intoxication, like an alcohol, you know,
well, I just
buzz.
want to. I just want to. Well, you confessed earlier, and I'm going to confess now that I'll never write another song again because what's the point? I'm just going to listen to this album.
I,
I can lyrically, I can never come up to this.
how can you?
I
How
don't
can
know.
anybody?
It's embarrassing.
You only try. You can only try and fail.
Oh well, I
That's
guess.
all. That's
No,
all that
I can do that.
us mere humans are capable of doing is just merely attempt it and fail it.
Oh,
Um,
gorgeous song. But yeah, but I liked how you described it because you said floaty,
yeah,
and totally, yeah. You just get that. What is that time signature? I don't even know, but
that's
almost,
very
it's
loose,
like a
isn't it?
waltz. Yeah,
It's
it's
very
almost,
loose.
yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Lilac Wine, just gorgeous. And so the next song is So Real. Um, and let me just. Are you? Do you want to move on, or do you got more to say about
Yeah,
Lilac Wine?
no, I'm ready to go on.
Okay, let me pause and then we'll get right back to it. So, So Real is next. So check out So Real while we're checking it. All right, So Real. I mean, I like the first line just starting off. I love it. It's what's he say? He says, "Love, let me sleep tonight on your couch and remember the smell of the fabric of your simple city dress."
Oh man,
I mean, what the heck?
I know, and it's, what strikes me so much about this song is like it comes right after Lilac Wine, where the placement of this is intentional, I'm sure, but like after the end of Lilac Wine, I am like, oh, I just feel so refreshed. And then So Real kicks in, and it doesn't hit you right away because it kind of sneaks in on you. But at at some point, it goes bombastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like loud and just full on guitar, wall to wall guitars, and slamming cymbals and all of that, which is really interesting. I don't know if you caught any of this live stuff. I've got a couple DVDs of him performing this album live, and what's really interesting about this is that when you watch him play live, it's the whole set is like one song. It's he's got this stuff in between the songs that he's building and getting ready for the next song, right? So he doesn't jump into these songs right away. And I heard a version of So Real where he starts off and he's playing for like 10 minutes of something else, just leading into it, and then he finally gets into the song. Very smooth transition into it. I'm like, oh, this is so real. But to me, it's like to write a song like this and to have like that crazy loudness. This is a facet of his being. This is part of who he is, just as much as Lilac Wine is, or what was the Last
Graves.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
I
Last
mean,
Goodbye.
these are facets of this guy. This is part of who he is also. This crazy, chaotic thing that he's got. So I look at this song as being the representative of this more chaotic side.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
you can hear, and so like you described how you saw him live, you can hear essence of that too on the Sketches album, because I
Yeah.
listened to the whole thing, and he'll do that. He'll
Yeah.
almost like he's sort of meandering around for a
Riffing.
while,
Yeah.
and then
Totally.
then he'll get into the song. But I love the beginning. I love the beginning of that. The way the guitar sounds, he's strumming it, jing 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 jing, and then he's like, doom digga dick, doom digga dick, and
Yeah.
his chords and the way he his rhythms are.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have unique rhythms, and you can say, okay, that's him. But there's really something different about the way he approaches the guitar. And you alluded to that earlier in our conversation, just
Yeah.
his style. But yeah, amazing, just so
You
cool.
know, he went to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood when he graduated high school. I think he was 19
You
when he went.
can't tell because a lot of times those people come out cookie cutter, you know.
Exactly. Well, here's what he says about it. He says, "quote unquote," the biggest waste of time.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, right,
He said it was the biggest waste of time, and for someone like that, it is a waste of time
yeah,
because he doesn't need that. It is
no,
very cookie cutter.
yeah,
At least it was back when I was interested in going. I never ended up having the money to go, but back in the '80s, I wanted to go. I wanted to go to GIT,
yeah,
but
right,
um, so it was interesting. He's like, okay, he went there for a year. He had the 1 year course, and then he said it was a big waste of time. But then later on, he says that he had an appreciation of learning music theory there, though. So he did come away with something. He said he was attracted to a lot of harmonies. What did he say? He says, I was attracted to really interesting harmonies, stuff that I would hear in Ravel, Ellington, and Bartok.
hmm.
So he walked away with something from it, but when you hear him play as a guitar player, he's unorthodox in his playing.
Yeah,
Like you pointed out, that's a really cool riff. I would never have thought of that.
no, and I mean, the chords could be sort of common, but it's the way that the rhythm of the way he plays
Phrase.
them and where he changes the chords. I don't know,
Yeah.
just a very very cool song, very
Yeah.
cool song.
Totally.
Yeah. And that was so real. So, all right. Well, here's one of the probably more well-known, I would say, songs of his. Well, not his, but that he's done. It is the one we talked about earlier, the Leonard Cohen song, who, by the way, has passed away recently. He lived to be quite elderly. I think he was in his 80s, wasn't he? Not Leonard Cohen.
I'm not sure how he definitely had a long life and
Yeah,
career, man.
yeah. He played.
Well loved guy too. I mean,
Yeah,
his music was celebrated by many people. A lot of people covered his stuff.
yeah, yeah. And this song is Hallelujah.
Hmm.
So we're still with Jeff Buckley on his Grace album, and we're going to listen to Hallelujah right now. So if you're following along, go ahead and listen. Like I said before, the link will be down in the description for Spotify, and I'll see if I can put the Apple link to. I don't have that, so I'm not sure if I will be able to. But if you have it, you know how to do it. So we'll be right back. All right, Hallelujah. And to your point earlier about his meandering, the beginning of that song kind of illustrates that point because
Totally.
the chords he was using were reminiscent of what he was about to go into, but actually quite haunting, quite
Yeah.
ha- quite haunting in a way. To bring before that song came into like the standard, C to F or whatever that was. Forget F to C or whatever.
Very major sounding song when he
Yeah,
finally gets there, right? But
yeah.
before it, everything is not okay.
It was yeah, he was throwing in different sort of
Weird.
notes in there to give you a little bit of a haunting sort of feel. Uh,
And you mentioned that there's a breath at the beginning of the track, right?
yeah,
Yeah. How
yeah,
cool is that?
really cool. I've actually done that before, and in one of my songs in my recordings, I did that
Oh,
one time, and I never got it to. When I did it really fast, and so the mixing of it, I didn't get it in there really good. So it's like I'm the only one that can hear it, but it's cool.
oh,
It's cool.
it's a great effect. Anytime I hear something human
Yeah.
on a recording, I fall in love with it.
I just
Because
picture the intensity of this song, and maybe he's
yeah,
done a couple of takes, and then he
oh,
was just like, "Okay, I'm ready now." Just sort of releasing and ready to
oh,
just
yeah,
go into what he's about to go into.
and it is only his electric guitar and his vocals, right? There are no other
I don't
instruments
think
on it.
so. Yeah.
Nothing else kicks in, I don't think. The reverb, I mentioned that, the reverb on his guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
I just picture, him in the studio and the engineer going, I just bought a $58,000 reverb that I've been dying to use. Can we use it on your guitar? Because it's unbelievably killer sounding reverb on that track. Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really love the line, or not the melody of let's see, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. Yeah, that is so
uh,
cool. I've always been so attracted to that particular melody. It's just like
yeah.
really just like da 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 da.
And
It's,
he does that. And coming up, I'm going to remark on that again because he's so good at building.
yeah,
He's so good at creating arcs in his songs and in all kinds of ways. In the music, he arcs in his vocal melodies. He arcs in his lyrics. He's a craftsman. He knows what he's doing.
yeah. Well, and speaking of lyrics, like these are not the Leonard Cohen lyrics at all. Like in the second
Yeah,
verse, the second verse is well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, and I like how he's referring to biblical stories. He's talking about David.
that's David. Bathsheba.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, that's exactly.
And then he goes to and then in the same verse he's like her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. And then it goes and she tied you to her kitchen chair.
Kitchen
She
chair.
broke your throne and
She
she
cut
cut
your
your
hair.
hair. It's almost talking about Samson and Delilah.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, just interesting
yeah.
how he sort of incorporates, the song is Hallelujah, but he's which is, sort of spiritually, spiritually themed, and he's sort of reaching for those biblical themes loosely, you know.
Totally. And I mean, one of my favorite lines is the first part where we said, I heard there was a secret chord
Yeah,
that
yeah,
David played that pleased the Lord. Oh my gosh.
yeah. And what almost like a secret meaning is like, what was that? Was it really a chord or was it his heart?
Yeah.
That the Lord loved about David. What
Right.
that was a secret. What was it about David and all his flaws that the Lord loved?
Which, I mean, we could go in a conversation with that could go on for a while too. The relationship that David
Right,
had with God, and that is one of the most interesting parts of the Bible to me is the story of David and
right,
his relationship, because it seems so weird because David screwed up all the
right. And we'll get in more of that on my theological channel next week.
time. And we'll be doing the decades
Oh,
starting from
yeah, 453 BC, and then we'll just work our way up by years.
there we go. It's a 72-part series.
Oh gosh, yeah, but killer song, and his rendition of it is beautiful, and I might even say I like it more than Leonard Cohen. And there's actually, I think, a few people have done it and changed the lyrics as well. I think I can't remember Crowder. I think what was that guy's name? The Christian artist.
David Crowder.
David Crowder I think did a
Yeah,
version of it with a little different lyrics too,
yeah,
but
he did. Yeah,
beautifully done
yeah,
by Jeff Buckley. Hallelujah. Yeah.
yeah. Boy, he has a knack for picking these songs. Like we had talked about the fact that he does these covers, and I don't know if you've ever heard. I mean, this is a totally different sounding song, but he does "Kick Out the Jams" by the MC5,
Ooh,
and yeah, and it's like his taste in music is so eclectic. I mean, it's like I love how he brings that to the listener. Like, I'm going to do a song from 1950 from a musical, and then I'm going to do a Leonard Cohen song, and then Corpus Christi Carol is a song that was written in 1504.
wow, that was before I was born, I think.
No, I think you were around.
I was probably around for a little bit. I'm just
We'll
so
get
young, I don't remember.
we'll get into that song later.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, I love the fact that he has such eclectic taste, and he brings these songs, and to show, hey, this is worth listening to.
Yeah, and it's just another more proof of what a student of music he was, and how entranced with that whole with music,
Totally.
and more than most people, definitely more than me. I love music and I love to play music, but I go in and out with my own playing, and I'll never be as good as anybody. I'll never be like proficient, but I enjoy it for my own personal taste, and I'm not a student of it like a lot of people are, even like you are. You're way more of a you're a true student of music. I am not, but Jeff Buckley is. It's his whole life is revolved
Totally.
around that. I don't know if he ever had a paper route or anything, any kind of job. He just did music. I really don't know if he ever did have any
And
other kind
he said, I think I had read that he only met his dad once. That he, I mean, I will have to look at this. I think I had read that he didn't really have a relationship with his father. I mean,
of.
he had a stepfather, but and it was really interesting because I was watching a release of, it was, I think, a German show where he was playing live on it, and the announcer is talking about Jeff Buckley and the band, and it's kind of going on for a little while, and I'm kind of like, okay, let the guys play already. But she said first, she starts off saying the son of Tim Buckley, and in the background he flips the double bird.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and you see it on the show. I was like, oh my gosh! And the guys in the band are looking at him, and they're kind of like cracking up. But
Yeah.
he flips the double bird. I mean, I don't know what his relationship with his dad was, and how he felt about his dad and all of that. But his lineage comes from somebody who also was very deep into music. Tim
Hmm.
Buckley was a folk singer, also some jazz stuff that he was into. Um, Highly revered, also. But it seems to be, this is something that's in your blood, and
Yeah.
for him,
Mm. And even not having that relationship where, yeah, like you said, it's in his blood. It's not really like imparted onto you because of a practical experience and exposure.
environmental,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just in your blood.
in you.
Yeah, crazy,
That's awesome.
man, amazing. Hallelujah. It's a wonderful song. Wonderful song. Yeah. All right. So then let's see. The next song is.
This is
Oh,
my
you
favorite.
talked about this one. Yeah. Okay. Lover, you should
You
have
should
come
have,
on over.
lover. You should have come over.
All right, let's pause our conversation and we'll take a listen to it. So that's the one we're listening to from Jeff Buckley on his Grace album, and we'll get right back.
Mm.
All right, there you go.
Oh,
Lover, you should have
wow.
come over. Those lyrics.
Oh God, that oh man, that whole section at the and that middle part right there, man.
Yeah,
Um, these have got to be some of the best lyrics I've ever seen. Um,
amazing.
yeah, I love, like, some of the lines that I love. Like, I love this line that says, "Sometimes a man must awake to find that really he has no one."
Hmm.
And he follows it with, "So I'll wait for you and I'll burn. Will I ever see your sweet return? Or will I ever learn? Lover, you should have come over." He goes down. This is my absolute favorite part here. He says, "It's never over, my kingdom, for a kiss upon your shoulder. It's never over, all my riches for her smiles, when I slept so soft against her. It's never over, all my blood for the sweetness of her laughter. It's never over, she's the tear that hangs inside my soul forever."
Mm.
That's it, man.
And the thing is too, as I was reading the lyrics along as we were as well, and the thought had come across my mind is that okay, this man passed away at 30 years old, and a lot of these songs are very much about relationships, and that time between, like, say 23 and 30 years old, and as old men from where we where we stand right now, and to
Yeah,
look back at those times when we were that age, and how the intensity of love and lovers and things like that is so different than it is as an older person, I think.
totally true.
But to be able to communicate the way he does at that age, I mean, not to say that that's too young. Of course, I wrote songs when I was that age too, but just his ability to be so poetic, it's just amazing how some people just are so talented with their words and the way they can get points across. It's just, he is incredibly talented as a lyricist and a poet, like we already sort of said, but man.
Yeah. I mean, so he wrote this section. He wrote this lyric in his 20s, because obviously he died in his 30s, so this came before. He wrote this in his 20s.
Yeah.
I feel too young to hold on.
Yeah.
I'm much too old to break free and run. I'm too old at 20 something.
Yeah.
I'm much too old to break free and run. Too deaf and blind, too deaf, dumb, and blind to see the damage I've done. Sweet lover, you should have come over.
I relate to every word of it, especially
Yeah.
the deaf, dumb, and blind part.
I mean, he was experiencing stuff that I would say, like you were saying, we're older now. We look back on this stuff, but I relate to what he's saying.
Oh, so much.
Unlike maybe a lot of other songs that talk about relationships written by 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
I can't relate to a lot of that, because they're not mature enough to have the understanding that he has in these songs,
And just the ridiculousness of what they even want to talk about, It's
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly profound.
Yeah.
His life experience in the 30 short years that he had a profound and deep understanding of life, and it shows in his lyrics.
So this was a song he wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is okay. So not a cover, but this is a
No,
song.
this is it. This is his. Yeah, and
Brilliant.
it sets the tone at the beginning. There's the harmonium, which is the small organ. That's the sound at that beginning.
Almost sounds like an accordion in a way.
It sounds like an accordion type of thing. So it sounds very, like it's like you're in Italy, or like you're in another, like a European country. It gives me that feel, that it's
You're traveling down a canal in a boat, and the guy's in the back with
totally.
the pole, and and then
romantic.
And then the little Hammond comes in there a little bit, and then when he starts into that chorus, what I would call it a chorus, where he's it's never over, and my kingdom for a kiss upon her shoulder, it's never over, and he goes into that, and the background. The background, the ooh, oh no, it's oh, instead of saying over, they're like going oh, but as that, it's very long. It's lyrically, it's very long, but the background vocals get more and more complex and intense, and it's amazing. I was just like focused on that for a while,
and the vibrato too.
Oh, his vibrato.
On the backing vocals, you hear that, and that jumped out at me too when I'm listening. I'm like, oh my God, listen to the backing vocals on this, because they're complex, they're interesting, and it's him singing with that tone and that vibrato the way that he does, and it's like, wow, holy smokes, incredible backing vocals. The part that kills me is the vocal build. That middle part, where he's lover, love, and he keeps building and building, and then he falls, and then he builds again. That emotionally, I'm wrecked when I hear that whole section. He's just singing lover, lover, lover over and over and over. No more lyrics than that, but the emotion in it, it's like the emotion of the singing and the music is now at a point where he has transcended language. He's gone past the words. He's already set it up. Now he's going to deliver the message with pure emotion and music, which transcends all language. And he does that in this thing. And it just is absolutely mind blowing. I wonder, after he wrote this, or after he recorded it and he's sitting down there and this is something that he wrote, what did he think of this? Because it's, to me, is one of the most incredible songs ever written.
Yeah.
And what must have he felt to have written this song and to hear it back? Did he just go, yeah, that'll do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or did he go,
good enough?
holy smokes, what did I just do?
Yeah.
You know, I wish I knew. You know,
I can't relate at all, because whenever I write and finish a song, I'm like, okay, well, that's done. You know, yeah, there's a song, you know, and there's nothing of, I don't feel any of the emotion for any of my songs that I feel for every song in this album.
Oh,
I don't even come close to experiencing in my own music what I experienced with this. And the other point about it vocally is that it's effortless.
yeah,
He sings like it. I mean, from just singing down on a low range, and the next thing you know,
yeah,
he's floating up and
yeah,
but it's like effortless. It's just
totally.
so much control, and like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's really amazing.
yeah. Absolutely amazing. For me, best cut on the album, on one of the best albums, best of the best. This is a masterclass in songwriting,
Yep.
masterclass in singing, and writing lyrics. Yeah, man. Well,
And in interpretation of others songs too that he didn't write. You know,
yeah, yeah,
a master class in just saying, "Hey, this is not my song, but I'm about to make it my song."
exactly,
You know.
exactly. Which brings us to Corpus Christi Carol, which is another cover, and this is a middle or early modern English hymn or a carol, written by, it says, apprentice grocer named Richard Hill, in a manuscript written around 1504. And I read the lyrics. They're in another language. There's a translation of it. So I read the lyrics, and I was just floored that I'm sitting here listening to a carol that was written in 1504, and it transcended all time for me, because to listen to him sing it felt incredibly contemporary and relatable. Yeah, do you want? We can take a little listen of that here.
Yeah, I just can't help but think about the apprentice grocer, because I'm a grocer.
My friend.
And it's like, how it must have been way more complicated in the 1500s, because basically all you do is take it out of the box, put it on a shelf, and then put it off the shelf and into a bag. And that's grocery stores. It must have been way more complicated back then to have an apprenticeship.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. An apprentice, written by an apprentice grocer. 15-year apprenticeship, and he became a full-fledged grocer after that. It's like, okay.
Oh my God. And he wrote, Christi wrote carols in his spare time.
Right. All right, let's take a look. So we're going to listen to that song. We'll be right back with you. Holy smokes, that opening melody, the high notes that he hits, right back to where we just ended the last segment, was effortless.
Oh my gosh.
Effortless.
For any of you aspiring choir boys.
Right. Oh my gosh. So choir boy.
This is what to listen to, man. I mean, oh my gosh. Angelic. I mean, that's the word that comes to mind. It's incredibly angelic. Beautifully recorded. His voice impeccable. I mean, how can you sing that high in such an effortless manner.
That's probably part of it, just because like I can sing a falsetto, but I can't hit that high range because I feel like I'm not effortless. I'm forcing
Well,
it.
you know, yeah,
Yeah, and it's just la. See, it's like I could barely do it,
nothing
and I
to
couldn't
him.
sustain it at all.
Yeah, what a range! And then you
Yeah.
hear him sing low stuff too.
Oh
Got
yeah. Oh.
unbelievable range this guy's got. Um,
The guitar part was just beautiful, and just this,
yeah,
the tone that he has on his guitar.
simple,
But it was almost, it's just in the background, almost just to sort of highlight the melody in his voice. It just,
pulsing. It's just pulsing.
yeah.
It's just moving it forward.
Hmm.
You know, and that's its purpose. Um, it's a beautiful. It's just a beautiful song to listen to.
Yeah.
I really like that one. I look forward to that one on the album too.
And it just, yeah, just the placement of the songs, it just keeps you interested the whole way through,
Totally.
even though the
Um,
first few songs were just, they're
yeah.
like, wow, but it almost gives you a break to sort of
Totally.
relax for a minute and let the intensity and your body twitching and the goosebumps and the tears dry, for a moment while you listen to this just beautiful, almost like, you know, chant almost. It is, gosh, this is great.
Yeah. That's a good point because it's the Lilac Wine to Last Goodbye.
Yeah,
It's the Corpus Christi to Lover You Should Have Come Over.
yeah.
It's the emotional build, and then let's drop you down and let's just float you a little bit
Mm.
because I just did this to you.
Yeah. I just took you on your life's journey and all your
Yeah,
regrets and all your
yeah.
passions, and now let's just,
I just emotionally wrecked you with all the memories of the
yeah.
last relationships you've had
Oh,
in your lifetime. So let me give you a little break
right.
here.
That's thoughtful of them. I do appreciate. Well, that's what you would call grace.
Yeah, exactly. It goes back to the title.
Oh man. Okay, what do we got next then?
Eternal Life.
Eternal Life. Okay, let's check that one out. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Ooh,
what a what a badass tune, dude.
I swear to God, that song came straight off of Queens of the Stone Age record. That bass
Oh,
tone, that bass tone was growling,
oh.
growling. That was literally. I thought I played the wrong song for a minute. That was like Queens of the Stone Age, but before
Totally.
before Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah,
That
it was
bass tone was so aggressive.
gravel. It was
Oh my gosh.
gravel laden. What a groove,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Bum, bum, chicka, dum, chicka, dum, dum, dum,
Oh, you
dum.
bang your head to that one for sure.
Man, I'll tell you, if I was in this band, that'd be the song I couldn't wait for
Yeah. Mm.
because the groove on this one is, oh my gosh, oh, so good. Yeah, this is an interesting one to me because like So Real has got that aggression, it's loud, and if you get ugly right, Eternal Life has that same kind of energy. It's loud, but it's incredibly melodic,
Mm.
and it's got a groove to it. So of the loud songs on this album, that's the one I really love.
Hmm.
That this is the one. This is the one that gets me for the more of the louder kind of songs on this thing. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and of course his vocals, stand out.
It's like you could have put, somebody else's vocal style in there, like Queen of the Stone Age or something like that. He still has that falsetto, sort of voice range, but it fits perfect for what he's
Yeah,
doing there. Uh, and you could have made it harder with somebody more gravelly
yeah,
vocally or whatever like that. But
yeah,
but it's a rocker, man.
yeah.
It's pretty gnarly. I mean, the first thing I noticed right away is the bass, of course, and just the intense,
Oh yeah,
gravel of that is crazy.
yeah. Absolutely, it's a take no prisoners kind of tune.
Yeah,
Love it.
and you don't expect it because that's probably the hardest song on the album.
Yeah,
And it doesn't start off that way. It's one of those ones that it leads you kind of anticipate something's going to happen,
yeah.
but not quite to that degree. I don't think.
Right.
If you're first time listener, you're just like, oh, whoa, that just really kicked in.
Yeah, when it kicks in, then the top of your head explodes when it
Yeah,
kicks in.
killer.
Um, but again, he doesn't start it off that way.
Nope, nope.
He's like,
Yeah,
let,
right. Right.
let
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Yeah, very
Beautiful,
good.
beautiful.
Hey, we're making some pretty good progress. As long as this video is going to be, we're nearing the end here. We got a couple more songs to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. The
Well,
next,
technically, the last song, what is it called?
uh, the last song on this album
Forget her.
is, yeah, "Forget Her." Yeah.
Yeah, that was not on the original. That's an extended cut.
Oh, is it? Okay, so Dream Brother
Green
is
Brothers really the last track on the original recording.
okay. Well, there you go. Then we're down to the last song. Then
Yeah.
let's let me stop share that real quick, and then we'll pause and we'll listen to that song, and we'll be right back. Yeah, that's a,
Eerie tune, right?
yeah. We talked about his relationship with Led Zeppelin earlier,
Hmm. Hmm.
and to me, I mean, the Band of Joy, the Band of Joy, Robert Plant's one of Robert Plant's bands.
Right.
That could have been perfectly inserted into one of their sets. That
Totally.
totally sounds like something that they would do. Uh, and I actually even heard like even some Robert Plant in his vocal stylings there.
Some plantisms in there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, just yeah, it had a little bit of that Middle Eastern sound going on
Still,
there. Yeah, a little bit. Not overtly, but a little bit.
it's a hint. He's just got that hint, that Zepp influence.
Yeah.
It's just it's part of him, and you get that flavor. But it's not derivative. It's not a ripoff. He's just transfused it into his stuff. I don't get that feeling at all that he's copying anybody.
No.
He's not Greta Van Fleet
No.
here.
No. No.
You know,
I love I
so
love the hand drums, the doombach or whatever he's
yeah,
playing. And yeah, we used to use those in one of my Brilliant Daydream when I was playing with the
oh yeah,
Gillespie brothers, Matt
right,
and Sean, and we had transitioned from kind of a Pink Floyd Cure band, and then
yeah,
we got kind of Renaissancey, and they were doing like
yeah,
rock and roll songs with the doom with the hammer dulcimer, bass and drums.
totally,
And then sometimes we would just mellow it out with the dulcimer, the doombach, and a recorder. As we did crazy stuff like that. But
yeah. You
I
guys
love
had a
it.
great thing going, man. I wish that you guys had been able to get the attention that you should have gotten. I know that Dead Can Dance was going on, and the
Yeah,
Cocteau Twins, and
right.
all this kind of stuff. And I know
This Mortal Coil and
just Mortal Coil, all of that stuff was kind of happening. You guys jumped on that pretty quickly. It wasn't what I was into at the time. I was playing in Hollander with the progressive rock
yeah.
stuff, so I don't know if I fully appreciated what you guys were doing at the time that you were doing it, but I sure did later on,
Yeah, I'm not sure I
when I,
appreciated it at the time either, but it's good
yeah,
stuff. Good memories though.
yeah, good memories. Let me read you a little something that Jeff Buckley had said regarding this song. Okay, so for Dream Brother, he says, it's a song about a friend of mine who's led a rather excessive life. He's in trouble. This song is for him. I know what self-destruction can lead to, and I've tried to warn him. But I'm one big hypocrite because when I called him up and told him about the song I'd written, that same night I took an overdose of hash and woke up the next day feeling terrible. It is very hard not to give into one's negative feelings. Life is total chaos.
Hmm. Wow.
So here he is. I'm going to write this song about you because you're being self-destructive, and then I go and do something that's self-destructive. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, man, you know?
Yeah, I think sometimes when I look back at lyrics and concepts that I've written over time, it's like I write it with the certain sort of attitude and sort of thought processes in mind about certain things, and then I go back and I read it again years later, and I'm like, okay, no, that's not what that song was about. at
Yeah.
all. Okay, this was about me and my
Right.
bullshit, you know,
Right. Right.
not about all that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, what a hypocrite I am, you know.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
damn. Yeah, I could relate to that totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not a
Um,
great album. I'll tell you what, we'll just not do the last song and
yeah.
let the audience, if they want to give us a review on the last song in the comments.
That'd be
And,
awesome.
yeah, and see what they think about it. And we'll leave that for them since that was not part of the original release.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, but one of the the notable songs on what was that one we talked about on the Sketches album? What was that really good song on that too?
Everybody Here Loves You, I think
Yeah,
it's called.
yeah,
Oh God, I love that song.
great song. So check that one out too because that's an amazing song. Uh,
Oh,
so good.
yeah. It's interesting because I'm not sure that I mean, it's hard to know this for sure, but he repeats the words in the first verse almost as if there were placeholders. Like he didn't have the full verse yet. So I'm just going to repeat this verse here and here. It may have been intentional, but when I heard it, I was like, huh, I don't know if the song is quite done because these were, you know,
From the other album.
demo tracks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, basically they're high quality demo tracks.
yeah.
Um, but oh my gosh, too bad that didn't get finished, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff. I'm exhausted. This
I
was like
know.
a journey. I mean, this has been taking us hours to get through this,
Yeah.
and it's been incredible. I have really loved every second of it, and this kind
Yeah.
of deep dive conversation into music that is so amazing is I don't think people do it enough. You know,
Yeah.
people want to hear the songs. I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand that, but I love the conversation about music. I
Oh,
love that. I love it because we can hear the music ourselves. You know, you can listen to this album all you want. Go ahead. I
yeah.
encourage you to. I'm talking to the audience and whoever's
Yeah.
watching us. I mean, but to deep dive into some of the just what we think that he was going through, and then also our own reactions to his lyrics and his music through our own emotions and thought processes. It's a very cool thing to experience. You know, for me, I don't know how this goes over as a genre of
Mhm.
entertainment, but
Right.
I sure like doing it, and I appreciate your expertise and your ability to communicate. It's been always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And,
It's a privilege for me to do this with you.
well, listen, you have a YouTube channel as well, and
I do.
I'm not telling you to listen. I'm telling other people to listen
Yeah.
because it's very good, and you have it's a different format, and it's very interesting, but based on music. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's something that I started. I mean, you've kind of been an inspiration for me, to
I know, I
actually
know.
I mean, it's like I dig what you do. It's like you came up with the idea about doing the album, your top 6 albums, and then your 10, on the decade and all of that. And I'm like, damn it, I wish I thought of that. I'm like, that's such a great idea.
It wasn't my original idea, though.
It's such a great idea. I enjoy it. I love your videos. I watch them, and I'm like, okay, I'd love to do. I mean, I could have done something like that too because I the equal passion that you
Yeah.
do in music. But I decided that I wanted to have a channel that was geared a little bit more towards guitar players because I thought, this is something that I have over 40 years of experience doing, and maybe I might have something to say that can help somebody out and not have to go through a lot of the drudgery that I went through and learning, as far as playing the guitar and writing music. So it's kind of based around songwriting and playing guitar mostly, and then I'll throw in kind of like a gear review on something that I'm passionate about. And yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Uh, um, who's the guest host? Sometimes that on your videos, sometimes you have.
Oh yeah, my brother.
Yeah, I thought
So
that was your brother. Yeah.
yeah, he actually gave me a little push into doing it too, because he had said to me, he's a musician as well, songwriter,
Mhm.
and he comes to me for advice, and a lot of times he'll say, you know what? He goes, you know what you said to me really helped me. And I said, he said, have you ever thought about, you know, doing something like having a YouTube channel and where you could share kind of your experience and your ideas about songwriting? I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, why don't we do this? I'll ask you some questions, and I didn't know what the questions were beforehand for all those videos that I posted on the channel. I had no idea what he was going to ask me, so it was fun. It was fun to do that. So he would ask a question, and then I would answer it. We'd videotape it, and then I would post it. So yeah, that's my brother. He's been starting to write some original stuff, and I'm excited for him because his music is really good. So
That's cool.
worth listening to.
What's your channel's what is the name of your channel?
Stratelli Studios.
Okay, yeah, so I'll link that as well in the description. So check that out because it's very interesting. He's got different types of shows that, like he described, that he'll play some reviews and some, thoughts and answer some questions that you might have yourself. It maybe could help you out that way. So Jeff, thank you so much. Like I said, it's always a pleasure. And this was it was a grind kind of because of the
Yeah.
technical issues we had,
Yeah.
but we got through
Yeah.
it. But it was also just a pleasure, not only to hear your take on the music, but just to hear the music itself and just to dive into just all that emotion and everything that was. That's an amazing album. And what a great pick, I think. I mean, I thought of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You
you
thought
thought
of
of
it,
it.
and I thought of it.
I know. I mean, what? I mean, I just
What are
don't
the
know.
odds, Todd? What
Well,
are the odds of that?
I think they're quite high at this point because you and I are connecting on that level. I think that
We
if
are. I
if
don't
we
know.
do it again, I'm going to go
Spooky.
seek help.
That's very spooky.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much. This is All Music with Todd Ledbetter. Also, check out Jeff's channel. I'll link it. Tell us what it is again.
Stratelli Studios.
Yes, and I'll link that down below. Also, if you're watching this and you didn't listen to any of the music of Jeff Buckley's Grace album that was released in 1994, it was his debut album, it was his only finished studio album before his untimely death. Do yourself a favor and give that 3 or 4 listens,
Yeah.
and really just like let that sink into your soul. It's a gorgeous album with so many
Awesome.
different moods and elements to it, and I encourage you to check out the lyrics because that is a
Yeah.
huge part of his music. And if you can get online and read the lyrics as you're listening to it, I think your experience, do both. Check out the lyrics and then also just like veg out and listen to it too. But if you want the enhanced experience, check out his lyrics too. Such a good album, such a good time with you, Jeff. Thank you for spending this kind of time. You have to carve out some time to do this, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, but man, it's worth it. It's worth it. I love doing it. I can't wait for the next one. So we'll figure out what that's going to be. But thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You guys, thanks. So if you made it this far and you've checked it all out, thank you guys very much. Remember to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and definitely comment in the comment section and check out in the description box for Jeff's channel as well and check that out. Thanks everybody very much. Jeff, we'll see you next time, and I look forward to whatever project we got coming up next.
Awesome.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.